Welcome back to the channel. I'm Dr. Dustin, board certified dermatologist, showing you some of the best pimple pops and reactions that I found on TikTok this week. Let's dive into the first video, have some fun, and hopefully learn a little bit along the way. First up, we've got lots of pimples here on the skin. They've got gloves, they've got gauze. We're doing this in a good setting and great camera work. And just popping those out of there. Has to be done carefully, not to break open the skin underneath and lead to more inflammation, especially on darker skin types, more prone to getting post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. But very satisfying to watch these pop out of here. Down on the chin, these are more sebaceous filaments there on the chin. That's not so much acne. A little bit enlarged sebaceous filaments, so retinol could be very helpful here. A little bit tender. Boom, that was a big one. Look at all of that stuff. Again, we're in a medical setting, an esthetician here, ingrown hair extraction. They say screwed up, let's see what happens. What's going on here? And like we're way too slow-mo. Boom. I didn't see a big mistake there. It says screwed up. I don't know what they're talking about, but they got it out of there. Back with some pimples on the cheek. One thing I wish these channels would do is tell us what skincare routine the patient is leaving with. How are we going to prevent these from coming back? Because you guys know, from my perspective, retinol and salicylic acid are going to be two of the best things you can get over the counter to help decrease the risk that all these pimples are going to come back in the future. I'd be going to prescription strength retinol like tretinoin or tazarotene with a good moisturizer, maybe a salicylic acid cleanser. Ooh, that's tender right there on that thin under eyelid skin. There we go. We've got a pretty big pimple there on the body. I'm not sure what part of the body this is, but they've got gloves and they've got a good comedone extractor tool, so I really like how we're starting out here. That applies pressure around the lesion, so more of it comes up and out of the skin rather than ruptures and goes underneath the skin. A lot of blackheads and whiteheads on the temple and on the cheek here. They've got the gloves on, they've got the gauze, so we're starting out strong. And they're just getting little ones that are even hard to see from the camera angle. Doing like a little chemical peel before trying to do these extractions, soften up the top, do a little gentle exfoliation. That's going to help these to come out better. So they may have already done that. But looking good. There's nothing too big or too juicy on this one, just these little stubborn whiteheads. Coming back for more. Boom, let's zoom in a little bit. Zoom in. There we go. A little better view of these little ones. Very nice. Here we've got some stuff just above the lip, and this is going to be tender. Actually, I think this is upside down and we're on the chin. Confused me there for a second. That's a good one. Good little pimple. This person has some bigger acne lesions on the cheek, and they're going in there with gauze and gloves to kind of pop them out to express them. And they got a pretty good one out there. But there's a lot of dilated follicles here. A lot of open pores. And for this kind of person, I would love to do a chemical peel on that would be safer on darker skin types. Coming in with the pore spatula, this is an ultrasonic vibrating tool that as you push it across the skin, it will help to pull out sebaceous filaments. I've had this done during a facial and I find it really uncomfortable, so I don't like to use this tool for risk of bruising the patient, breaking capillaries, but I have to admit it's satisfying to watch. Most satisfying job in the world. They've got gloves and a lot of blackheads, and they're going to town, and watch how many of these pop out easily. Boom. I've got to agree with him. This would be an incredibly satisfying job. What else would be more satisfying than being able to do this all day? You just kind of scrape them off there with that little lancet. Boom. I mean, these are popping out easy. Like, I wonder if they did a chemical peel or something to loosen them up first, because it's like they're coming out so well. You can see how the tip of them is black, and that's because the oil, once it gets exposed to air, starts to oxidize. But the stuff underneath that's not getting exposed to the air remains white. That's the difference between a whitehead and a blackhead. The whitehead, once they open up and get exposed to air, it turns black. Wait for the juicy reveal. There's a lot of acne on this nose, and they're using a comedone extractor and starting with the biggest one in a tender spot. The skin's pretty dry here too. Even though they have a lot of acne, they don't have super oily skin. It looks dry, it looks irritated. Dude, that was a lot that came out of there. I've done surgery in this area, and I think people don't understand how deep it is before you get to bone right there. This says part 2. Now, I don't remember seeing part 1, but we've got an earring, and that definitely needs to come out. If you're gonna start manipulating things on the ear, take the jewelry out. It increases the risk of infection and scarring. It looks like they've developed a keloid behind the piercing. There we go. Yeah, they just were not cleaning that piercing well enough, and they got all this buildup in there. It's all inflamed and irritated. Yeah, if you're getting piercings, you gotta be committed to keeping them clean, to turning them frequently. Yeah, do not try to remove your own keloids. Oh, they did a great job. I've removed a ton of keloids in my practice, and you don't do anything wrong when you get a keloid. That's not necessarily because they weren't caring for the piercing. Some people are just prone to them, and it's super frustrating when it happens. I'm not even saying anything except how, when, and why. I don't know what that means, but let's come in with the comedone extractor, and let's see how much stuff they get out of here. It looks pretty big. Boom. Oh, they're not done though. Look how much is on the gauze. Yeah, they're getting a lot of stuff out of there, and I can tell you this is a tender spot to work on. That skin is thin, it's right on top of the cartilage, and working in this area just hurts the patient. So they're doing a great job of just holding still and enduring it. But they've got gloves on, they put a cap on the patient to keep hair out of the area, so they're doing a great job. Getting that ear all cleaned up. Wash your ears, people. And if you get a lot of blackheads in there, come see a dermatologist. I'm waiting to wrap this video up, but it won't stop. So there's got to be a lot of stuff inside this cyst, and let's see how much they get out. Boom, it's shooting. A little explosion, and it keeps going. In my practice, I'd just numb this patient up, make a small incision and get the sac out so we don't have to manipulate the skin, cause trauma, just through squeezing. Obviously cutting the skin is traumatic. We'd have to put a stitch in, but I hope you know what I mean. Because there's a risk this is gonna grow back if you don't get the sac out of there and they gotta go through it all over again. But yeah, it just keeps going. These little cysts can have multiple pockets, and that's why it's not always easy as just like letting the air out of a balloon. You have to kind of move the stuff from one pocket into the main pocket and then get that to come out the top and not back into another pocket. And it just keeps going. It's smaller, I mean, it's definitely deflated, but it's not done. For the size of this thing, I'm shocked at how much stuff is coming out. It's like the clown car of cysts. There's way more in there than you think. Seriously. Like, that's a ton that just came out. And we're 2 minutes into this video. Are we done? I think we finally got it all. Guys, thank you for watching. Hopefully you found that as entertaining and educational as I did. I love doing these for you guys, and I love reading your comments. So if you have questions about skincare, leave them down in the comments, and make sure to check the channel back because we're releasing new videos every week, and I'll see you guys next time.